So these are an overview of some of the topics I'll be talking about. What's driving this transportation? I think a lot of us know what that is, but we'll talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about different types of transportation and mobility. And we've done a lot of work here recently to identify what our needs are and what our opportunities are. So we'll share some of the conclusions that we've had with you folks. And then a lot of planning. Of course, that's come from the city planner, but there's always a lot of planning. And it's a collaborative effort with us, the county, and the DOT folks. We can't do it ourselves, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So the first topic, what's driving the transportation initiatives that the city's taken on? I think everyone realizes we're growing. Not only in the city, but there happens to be two small projects. One's the village of Pasadena Hills to the north, a small little project, thousands of units. And then another little project on the south end of town on 56 called Two Rivers, another couple thousand units. So we're growing in the city. We have a moratorium right now. We're kind of pausing a little bit to catch up on some things, but a lot of influencing factors on the perimeter of Zephyr Hills that's playing a role in that. Infrastructure and services. I don't know if we're not keeping pace, but we are dealing with some like water-related issues. But roads, as the mayor mentioned earlier, when we're going through development review, and even though we're under moratorium right now, the community has voiced, challenged the staff to look at transportation, and that's why you'll hear today a lot about what we have going on. And then the economic resiliency, how important that is to have a proper land use pattern. Just not all residential, but a balance of residential and industrial. You're going to hear about some of the industrial happening and the importance of that economic resiliency and creating jobs, and then the roads that get to these jobs is so important. Then I mentioned the planning partnerships are so key. Partnering with our MPO folks you're going to hear about today and the DOT. Takes a collaborative effort, like I said. We've done a lot recently. I won't spend a lot of time on our mobility plan, but the city applied for and got a $75,000 grant to do a mobility plan. We wanted to do that. We're updating the city's comprehensive plan as a prelude to the update of the transportation element. We want to do a mobility plan. It's called the Going Places Zephyr Hills Mobility Plan that you see on the left side there. A lot of time and effort, hired a consultant. A number of you folks were at some of the community stakeholders workshops that we held on transportation, had a lot of public input and engagement, sat at tables, drew maps, and came up, as you see in the circle down below, we tried to identify every and any problem area in the city transportation-wide. Then we talked about solutions and ideas and how we could address those. So what came out of that are a lot of needs and opportunities that we can and we're going to try to address. And you're always going to have transportation congestion, right? With the roads, with the growth that we're experiencing. Making sure our transportation is multimodal, just not emphasizing the roads, but looking at sidewalks and bike trails and bike lanes. Safety. We in our mobility plan, we'll have some slides later that show an example where we have a safety issue, where there's been accidents, and how we're going to try to deal with that. And we're taking a strong interest in transit, our bus service in the city. We feel like we can do a better job of that. We're going to talk about that with some examples. And then the integrated transportation and land use. Again, getting that land use and the transportation right. Recently, we had a 750-unit single-family, multifamily residential project that wanted to go in our industrial corridor at the gateway to it, along the rail. But that we recommend denial on that, and now we have a success story on the importance of getting the land use and the transportation right. There's a big manufacturer coming. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So that was the mobility plan. We have copies of that. If you'd like to see it in detail, we're happy to share that with you. So from that mobility plan, how are we going to meet the needs that we have here in the city? And that was with our transportation mobility element. That's the second step we've taken as part of the update to the city's comprehensive plan where we started with the transportation element. We changed the name of that from transportation to transportation mobility element, and because we want it to be more multimodal. So here's some of the priorities that came out of that, as you can see. Looking at safety, and we have some slides that will talk about that. Making sure we have walking and biking opportunities. The city spent a lot of money building over $1 million of sidewalks in the core. You've probably seen that. So we want to continue that. We want to continue building multi-purpose trails to connect some links that we already have. I mentioned already making improvements, investments in the public transit. Capacity, our roads, we're always going to have to look at capacity, and that's where we particularly work with our partners at the MPO and DOT. And we talked about the land use and transportation, getting that right. Here's an interesting slide where we talk about safety. Making our community, our transportation network, all forms of modes and transportation safer. The picture that you see in the bottom right is just west of town on 5th Avenue, State Road 54, west of 301, just past Zephyr Park. What our data showed is we've had a number of accidents there, both pedestrian and bicycle accidents. So we identified this, and what our goal is to have a vision to maybe work with the county. That segment of road is going to be transferred from the state over to the county, and that's in the works right now. There's also going to be a renaming of that roadway, but what we want to do is a signalized crosswalk there. So that's one minor example of safety initiative. The other way we can make our streets more safe is through complete street design standards. You see some visuals there on the left where you have, of course, your traffic lanes, but you can break that up with on-street parking, wider sidewalks, marked bike lanes, nice lighting, nice landscaping. So what our goal there is to adopt the complete streets design standards for all of our streets whenever we make new street improvements and have all of our streets more safer by having design standards. Okay. I don't see Gail Hamilton here. She's our CRA director. Oh, there's Gail in the back. Gail provided us this slide. The CRA is also working on an update of their community redevelopment plan, and we got this little fun project that's kind of in the core of the city. And as you can see there, it's called the Greenway Loop. And you can see the boundaries of that, South Avenue, up 12th Street, 12th Avenue, and back down to 1st Street. So it's a nice little complete street type of improvement on an identified designated corridor. On the right, you see a photo of the profile cross section. It'll be a 12-foot wide path there that folks in the downtown core can go around, and including a sidewalk and street trees and whatnot. So that's just another miscellaneous type of infrastructure improvement and transportation that we're looking at. Okay. Here's Gall Boulevard corridor. It's been on the books for a long time, since before I even got here. We show some images there of Gall, and of course the one-way pairs of 6th and 7th Street. We've been talking about Reimagine Gall Boulevard for some time. There is a preliminary design that the city's worked with the state, the DOT, on how that will look. I won't get into all the details of that right now, but I wanted to show a slide and two different segments of the 301 corridor on the right side there, showing some improvements of how 301 would look with on-street parking, landscaping, those sorts of activities. The other land use part of that is we have a form-based code. Gail has a community redevelopment area. We want to make our areas, our communities more walkable. So we get the complete streets to make them more walkable. That supports this type of development. We got some examples here that show live-work units where you got a little business on the bottom floor, but they live upstairs. Mix of uses in the top right, supported by alleyways in the back. And so that's the type of walkable type of development that we've adopted with our form-based code, and we're looking to expand that into Gale CRA districts, neighborhood districts. So we're excited about new development and redevelopment. And the reason we do that is to make areas more walkable is to take some of the trips off the road where you try to encourage more walkability by folks that can walk to the uses instead of always having to get into their car. Okay. We're also excited about our pedestrian aspect of transportation improvements. The walk and bike infrastructure. On the bottom left there, you see a nice example of a roadway with a multi-purpose trail. So the city has a multi-purpose trail plan that we refer to. New development comes in. If it's a segment of development that requires a trail, we have them build a trail instead of a sidewalk. And what I've done on this part of the slide on the right there, we have 3 trail priorities that we've identified. And we've been working with the county MPO. These are in the LRTP. Number 1 there, you'll see Simons Road, we have a trail already from Island Boulevard, and we need to make a connection on Fort King Road. And once you turn right, when you're going east on Fort King, turn right on Fort King Road going south to Island, there's already a trail on part of that. So we're trying to make that connection in number 1 there. Number 2 is Geiger Road. I'll talk more about Geiger Road, about some improvements. We're working with the county on that, but that's another high priority, getting a trail from 301 to Island Boulevard to support some of the development occurring on Geiger Road. And then 3 is a very high priority. We've been working with the county. We did some preliminary studies and analysis. You have trail on a good segment of Wire Road on the west side, but then you miss it from Daughtry Road all the way down to County Road 54, where the schools are. So if you've been around here long enough, you've probably seen people walking in the street there because there's no sidewalk. Okay. We're taking a strong interest, as I mentioned early, on public transit. It's a very high priority. We want to enhance our public transit, our bus shelters. You know, folks shouldn't have to be standing out in the hot sun and the rain, right? So our staff, our council, mayor, really have placed a high priority on that. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we've been working and looking at bus shelter locations. We're meeting with Kimley Horn, our engineer, going to be looking at about 6 sites, opportunities to make bus shelter improvements, and we're going to prioritize those down to 3 locations where we're going to make bus shelter improvements. The other exciting project we have coming up with the county, I believe it's on 7th Street, 15th Avenue. There's a bus transfer station that's going to be built. So again, trying to increase that bus level of service is going to help folks that aren't able to get in their car and go. This is a little bit hard to see. The county might talk a little bit about this as well, but priority road projects, again, the city works with the county and the state with the MPO, and we have a long-range transportation plan. I know they'll probably talk about that, but I just wanted to quickly show how we've identified and prioritized roadway projects in Zephyr Hills to help with the traffic, the safety and the flow by a lot of different ways. You can add travel lanes, upgrade intersections, coordinate the signals, and then making them multimodal. But real quick on the slide, it's a little difficult to see, but our high priority roads are what you see in yellow. And of course that's 301 all the way down from 56. It doesn't look like I have that highlighted, but that's a priority from 56 all the way up through town and to north of town. And then you have the Chancey Road corridor. We'll talk a little bit about that on another slide, but Chancey Road going east and west of south all the way to Morris Bridge back to Island Boulevard. Island Boulevard's a very high priority. I think we all know that live here in Zephyr Hills. We've got to get that 4-lane. And then you go across 301, of course, it turns into County Road 54. Importance of getting County Road 54 4-laned all the way over to 98. Why is that important? 98's being 4-lane by Polk County now. So if we could get that 4-lane from County Road 54, that helps with all the industrial development, getting these trucks out to the major roadways. The other proactive thing that we're doing is we looked internally, just inside our community, and we identified about 10, 12 hot spots, we call them. So we worked with, again, Kimley Horn. We identified these hot spots, went out in the field, and for us, there's a couple of us that have been here a long time, so we kind of know where the traffic congestion and safety-related issues are. So this map represents all those hot spot locations where we're going to be proactive in the city and get these improvements designed and engineered. We're working with Kimley Horn. I just got an update. You'll probably see a lot of survey markers out there right now with a lot of this work that's been being done, and they're doing their analysis on these improvements. And they could be anywhere from, a lot of them are safety improvements, adding a turn lane, just capacity issues, roundabouts we got. I did show on the left, I wanted to point out Geiger Road. Appreciate the mayor, our staff working with the county. The county was very receptive when we identified this high priority of Geiger Road. You can see the condition of it from 301 to Island Boulevard. It's kind of a through street, some safety issues. So the county was very responsive and jumped right on this, and I think this coming year we're going to try to do full depth reclamation, so rebuilding the whole road. And we're going to work with some developers, try to get a multi-purpose trail on this roadway too, and some other safety measures, maybe a signalized crosswalk where some development's occurring. Okay. Got a roundabout coming. We're about at final design for that at the intersection of Pretty Pond and Wire Road. A lot of you know that live here, it gets backed up going back west towards 301. A roundabout will keep that traffic moving a lot quicker, so we're excited about that intersection improvement as well. Cossack Road is another big project we've been trying to get through. Why is that important? Of course, south of there is the city's large commercial retail node. And any way we can maximize the roadways, the connections, is going to help the overall traffic in that area. So Cossack Road, if you look on the right there, the red dashed line, we're finalizing the preparations to make that connection of Cossack Road that's there now, that provides access to Abbott Park, to connect with Wire Road, Otis Allen intersection. So I believe we're close to having the county right-of-way use permit on that, so that'll be a big improvement and help that whole area. Okay, this is this very important slide. You probably haven't heard about this. This is something that came out of our mobility plan meetings and discussions. With 301, there's some proposed changes to make some of the streets one-way pairs. However, we want to design them where they could go back to two-way traffic, but with that, what our goal and what the long-term vision is this multimodal bypass loop road. So that area in orange defines the boundaries of that sort of a bypass loop road around Zephyr Hills that we want to 4-lane all these roads. All these roads are in the LRTP some level. And so as you can see, Chansey Road all the way up to Old Lakeland Highway, and then cuts over at Otis Allen, Cossack Road, Island Boulevard, and back down to Chansey. So the intent of this is to take some of the regional trips that don't have to or need to go through downtown to bypass like you would in any other major city. So that's a high priority of us. I put a bunch of arrows on there, particularly for the industrial, how important this is. You can see the arrows, again, getting the semi-trucks out to 54 to 98. Otis Allen and Cossack Road, that's going to connect to 75 with the overpass extension and all that. Coming down 301, State Road 39, 56 to 75. We've got a lot of great connections, but we need that 4-laning of these corridors, so important. Okay. Okay, this is a slide I'm super excited about and happy to talk about before I actually retired. We've been talking since I've been here 20 years about getting industrial manufacturing in Zephyr Hills, and really wasn't a lot happening then, but all of a sudden we got a fury of manufacturing development and interest in Zephyr Hills, and it's all happening. We got, you see, 4 projects came and hit us all in 1 year. So it's really exciting when we talk about that land use balance of the industrial, the manufacturing, creating good jobs, doesn't use a lot of services, but you can see the location of these 4 entities that all were either approved the site plans or about to approve all the site plans for Baduco, the big cookie company there at 6th Avenue and Chancey Road. Mytech, they do metal products for trusses in the homes. That's number 2. They're going to be on the north side of Chancey. That's where the residential project, 750 units, went away. We're so happy about. We're just happy to get the manufacturer there. The other cool part about that project is it's on the rail, and they need a rail spur, so they're taking advantage of the CSX rail. And then Tibbetts, their lumber company, going to be on the south side of Chancey next to the rail. They may also have a rail spur. And then you've probably heard about the National Guard Armory coming. Okay. And just wanted to add to this slide here, part of our mobility plan, we met with the DOT freight folks, and we talked to them about, again, getting the semi-trucks in and out safely, to design the radiuses of these intersections, as you see in that diagram there, so that trucks can get in and out. Has anybody ever seen downtown here at 5th Avenue and 301 a semi-truck try to make that turn? Doesn't really work. It's not designed for that, right? This is the way it needs to be designed, so we need to make sure when we're working with our partners, with the NPO and the county and DOT, that we're taking that into strong consideration. Good. Okay, well, yeah, so what I got here in this last slide is kind of where we're at. I think we see a lot of potential in Zephyr Hills. A lot of development is exciting that's happening right now, but the transportation is another big piece of that. And, we've tried to be proactive in the mobility plan and the transportation element. So in our vision, we want to make it safe, multimodal, meet the needs of all the users, smart and sustainable, protect our natural resources. Really, that strong emphasis again on the economic vitality of the community with the manufacturing and the zero tolerance for fatalities. So yeah, we just want to continue to work together, share ideas, leverage our resources with our partners, and champion our city for a model of transportation excellence. And so this is the slide that you can go and see our transportation mobility element on the comprehensive plan on our city's website. So thank you.